Hello humans, Master Nerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today we will be finally going over the Unfinished Archetype, Bujins. And this, every time I do one of these videos, I find a new way that an archetype is considered unfinished, and this one is the most hilarious, because as you can see, this deck is quite literally finished. How can it be unfinished? This is a full deck list, it is very clearly finished. So, this is a Bujin deck list from memory / kind of. It's been 11 years since I remember this format. So, what this deck is remarkable. Maybe in ways that don't... It's remarkable in ways that are not positive. I am about to say a nuclear hot take that I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but I think 2014 was one of the lowest powered formats of all time. I think from January to April 2014, we were playing decks that could have been smoked by, like, decks from 2007 or something. Like, the game was so low power that when I explain this starter, Bujin Yamato, as a +0 search that only activates in the main phase, to explain that to a modern Yu-Gi-Oh player, you would think it's a joke. But not only was this not a joke, it was one of the best normal summons of the format, and that is obnoxious. Like, it is such an insanely low-powered format, and then when you throw Bujins into this mix, not only are they just like a deck that summons a guy that's really hard to out with, like, Crane, Hare, and Turtle, and then, like, you back it up with, like, some kind of Floodgate, and it makes it a miserable time trying to out it. Like, this was one of the best decks you could play, which is crazy. But, like I said, this is one of the most underpowered formats of all time. There's a reason 2014 allowed you to play Soul Charge for more than a format. Like, the decks were just very low power all the way until Duelist Alliance. Like, Duelist Alliance was a soft reset to the game, not just because all the decks in it were very powerful, but also all the decks before it weren't. So, like, it kind of works out that way. But regardless, to say all that, even though there's a really... It was a good deck in a very slow and underpowered format, it was at least finished. So you... Even if a deck is power creep, that doesn't mean it's unfinished, it just means it's power crept. So why are we doing this video? Well, that's a good thing, you ask, which you didn't. I actually asked that question to myself. So, there are two types of power creep. There is normal power creep that people think of, where it's like a deck is outpaced when it comes to resource management. Its disruptions are not as effective as another deck's. It's more vulnerable to hand traps, it's more vulnerable to X, Y, Z. It's just not as effective as the deck right next to it. That is normal power creep as people talk about it. But then there's another type of power creep that happens over a longer period of time that I call foundational power creep, which is when a card or deck fundamentally does not operate with the game currently being played. And to give you a perfect example, besides the one I have on screen, Spirit Reaper. Spirit Reaper is a card that was limited, and for many years, people would just straight up throw it in their deck because it was miserably difficult to out. And unlike Marshmallon, it actually could proactively do things like rip apart your opponent's hand. This card does not operate in the modern game. It will never survive. It is so easy to out. And if all you're doing is setting and passing in the modern game, you've probably already lost. Like, this card doesn't work at all in the modern context of the game. So that's what I mean by foundational power creep, is its win condition doesn't work with how the game is played as of now. And Bujins are in that foundational power creep when you're looking at this deck list. There is no universe where a Protect the Castle deck that barely protects its castle is going to do much of anything. Especially when it doesn't really even gain resources. So this was foundationally power crept a while ago. Because this format was so underpowered, even like a few years later, this deck fundamentally didn't work. But now that I got that out of the way, that doesn't really answer the question earlier, which is like, power creep doesn't mean a deck is unfinished, it just means it's power crept. So, how can a finished deck be unfinished when power creep isn't the answer? Well, let's get into it. So, the only way you can take a finished deck and unfinish it is if you try to update the deck and only do half of it. So, let's look at these 3 new cards. Bujins, whatever. 3 Bujin cards. I'm not even going to bother butchering their names for you. But, we had the 1 to 2 Bujin support cards, which is a Pendulum that Zoo used, and then Ahashima, which is just a generic Link. Which neither... Well, Haruko does actually operate in Bujins. This one doesn't do anything. But regardless... Back in, like, early 2021, they tried to update this deck, and they had a really good start. So, Bujin Torifun, this card, you can attribute it to special summon 2 Bujins with different types from your deck. So that's 2 materials on board. This card can discard a Bujin to special summon itself, that's a material on the board, and puts a resource in your grave. And also has bonus effects where you can banish a Bujin from your grave to dump or recycle another one. So, like... These are resources to help you summon more Bujins, which is actually a very good path, simply because of Bujinte Susanoo. So, Yamato doesn't cut it, like, at all. That card is a +0 search in the end phase. That is not playable, and that hasn't been playable in forever. But, Susanoo, when it comes to XEs, this card is actually really stacked. It can attack all your opponent's monsters once each. Pretty good effect, especially if you're going on the aggressive. Once per turn, you can detach a material, take 1 Bujin monster from your deck, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can only control 1 of them at a time. That is impressive. That is an XE that you'd want to summon over and over again. The only problem is this only control 1. But, because of other cards, like, you can easily fix that, so that's not a problem. So, now that we understand this, you can see where they're going. They're giving them new cards to help them, spam materials to make XEs, and even like older ones benefit from this new playstyle. Like Harume used to not be passable, it was not very good, but regardless, now that you're summoning XEs, you're dumping a lot of Bujins in the grave, so this can easily summon itself. And because we're doing more banishing with Harume and this one, you can actually go into Arasuda and go ahead and special summon it, so we have just like a lot of Bujins that, as long as they just special summon themselves, they have value. So, that is where this ends, and you'll notice a problem. Even if I summon so many Susanuus, that doesn't do anything. Like, I'm going to grab more Bujins to make not Susanoo, or I'm dumping the Bujingis, which are the Beasts and Beast Warriors, but, like, all the Beast Warriors and Winged Beasts, like, Crane, Turtle, and Hare, like, they're, like, okay, but we're past that. To put it quite frankly, we are past these cards being a win condition. Sure, you've updated the core engine of the deck, but the payoff is still stuck in 2013, 2014. We're still not where we need to be with these cards. So, where do you go? Like, you didn't give them a payoff, but you gave them ways to make plenty of monsters, but no payoff. So how do you fix that? And that is where we are going to do today. 2 things we're going to do is make sure they get a real payoff with their Bujingis. And then 2, probably modulate the Beast Warrior package to be a lot more streamlined, because, like, these can help you a lot, but you still kind of want to, like, play out your cards. So we'll make the Beast Warriors a little more efficient. So let's get into it. Now, for this first one, we're going to do a crazy one. We're going to do a rank 8 Bujin that requires 2 rank 4 Bujins, which is a strange one, but trust me. So, you can only control 1. Congratulations, Bujin. Once per turn, you can attach 1 XYZ material from this card, then target 1 Beast Warrior Bujin in your graveyard, special summon it, then apply the following effects based on the monster summoned. If it is an XE monster, attach 1 Bujin monster from your graveyard or banishment to it. Or, if it has an effect that activates during the end phase, that effect can now be activated in the main phase instead. So, I kind of wanted to make Yamato somewhat playable, so I've added this card, which speeds up Yamato, but it's not the only one. So let's get into the next one. Next, we have Bujin Tenjin. You can only control 1. Again, it's a Bujin. If you control a face-up Bujin, you can special summon it from your hand. You can only special summon it once per turn this way. Once per turn, you can contribute 1 Bujin monster, special summon 1 Bujin monster from your deck, and if that monster has an effect that activates during the main phase, that effect can be activated during the main phase instead. So, fairly effective. It's just a good way to trade a Bujin for another Bujin, and again, it makes Yamato playable. But also, because it tributes a Bujin off the board, it is a good way to make your Susanoo count 0, so that and because it can just special summon itself if you control Susanoo, which searches it, it trades a Susanoo for a Yamato search into another Susanoo. So, as you can see, that's where I wanted to go with it. Now for the actual payoffs. So, Bujingi Badger, if your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a face-up Beast Warrior Bujin monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate the activation. Then if you control a face-up Bujin XYZ monster, destroy that negated monster. You can only activate this effect twice per turn. So I wanted to pay off. Sure, is this interaction, like, super basic? Yes. But, like, it's more of a proof of concept, because none of these cards are real. It's more the fact that, like, the Bujingis need to interact with the opponent on their terms, not in, like, oh, I'm going to attack. Like, we're past that. We're so far past that. You need to give them actual meaningful interactions. Does it have to be just dumb, stupid negates? No. But it needs to meaningfully interact with what the opponent is doing to update it to modern standards. So let's get into the last one. Bujingi Owl. If you control a face-up Beast Warrior Bujin monster, you can discard this card, target one face-up spell or trap card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn, and it's a quick effect. If you control Bujin XE, you can only activate this effect twice per turn. So again, kind of in the same boat as Badger, where, like, sure, it's kind of dumb, stupid negates, but it's more the fact that it's like, give it meaningful interaction. That's all you really need to do with these Bujins. That's all that really needs to go. But now that we got these out of the way, let's get into a sample deck list. Now, as you can see, it's going to be a lot more on the side of that Bujin Summon Susanoo Turbo, because again, that's the path they decided they need to go, so, like, let's commit to that. But when it comes to Searchers in the end phase, you have Mikazuchi, Yamato, and Arasuda, but Mikazuchi is not good. It's really difficult to trigger, whereas Arasuda and Yamato, at least, like, this one, you could just, if you translate it to the main phase, it's just a +0 search, which ends up being Dump Badger, a long-winded way to just dump Badger. And whereas this one, if you, like, already seen Yamato, you can go Arasuda, and when you get a search, you also just get a +0 draw off that as well. Like, there's, like, some pretty decent stuff you can do with this. And even though these are just much better than the rest of the Bujingis, like, you'd probably still play a small collection of the others. Like, this helps you go second, and Crane can help push for game, like, going second options. But even after all that, you still have, like, what, plenty of go second slots if you really wanted to do this. Like, I mean, this looks like a modern deck, to put it quite frank. Like, this is how you would build a modern deck, which is what you were ultimately wanting to do originally with these cards. Like, again, like I said, it's not power creep that made this deck unfinished. It's that they gave it a wave of support to update it to modern standards, but only did it halfway. Like, if you committed to saying, we're going to update this deck, you don't do it halfway. You commit to it or you don't do it, which is what made this archetype unfinished. But now that we got this, I think I will do a small combo with these fake cards. Now, I just drew a random test hand. Let's go ahead and try to see where this gets us. So we will go ahead and search. We can go into Torafune, like, we'll just do a sample combo, or we could play it safer. I think what I want to do is actually, we'll just say it's a sample combo. We'll go Torafune, normal summon it, tribute it. That allows us to get 2 Bujins with different types from our deck. So we will get Tenjin and Crane. We'll go ahead and activate Tenjin, tribute the Crane, and that will allow us to get Yamato. Yamato's going to activate in the main phase now, because it's really cool, the card I designed and made up myself. We're going to add Badger, then discard Badger. Next, we're going to overlay those 2 level 4s into Susanoo. Go ahead and detach the Yamato, and that will allow us to get a Tenjin, which, even though we special summoned it, we didn't special summon it with its own effect. We can special summon it, tribute it, and we have no more in deck. My bad. So we can't actually get the Susanoo off the board like that. So instead, because it's the other target, Arasuda, so instead of that, we're actually going to search, what's it called? We are going to search, Haruko, which we will go ahead and then banish to special summon Amaterasu, which will then go ahead and summon Arasuda, and then Susanoo will go ahead and detach to special summon the Haruko. Then we will overlay this and this into another Susanoo, which then we will go ahead and detach the Arasuda, and we will go ahead and search Pegasus. Next, we will overlay these 2 rank 4 Bujins into, of course, the whatever. We'll detach the Susanoo, special summon the Susanoo, and then we will go ahead and attach, let's just say, the Yamato. Next, we will go ahead and overlay, detach, get another search for Harume. We will special summon this guy by discarding this. Next, we will use this. We will banish the Haruko to add back Arasuda with Pegasus. Next, we will special summon Harume by banishing the Crane, which will again allow us to special summon Arasuda. And let's see what XEs we have. Well, first let me check this. So we can go into... We have an OWL access, so we can go into... Let's just go into Daigusto Emerald. And we will go ahead and detach, shuffle this back, and shuffle this back. And we will go ahead and overlay these 2 into F0. So what is our end board? So we have this hand trap, which is not super relevant. This could be attached to this card, which I guess I'll go ahead and do. So we have a monster negate here, spell trap negate here, hand trap, and then this. Which is, like, fairly fine, because I had a different idea in mind with the combo, but I kind of misplayed. But regardless, it's, like, more of a modern play style than, like, other decks. Like, it at least tries to play the game, which I guess is the ultimate goal. As long as there's actual payoff within the archetype, it doesn't really matter what you decide to do afterwards. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If there's any other unfinished archetypes you wanted to see me work on, just let me know. I think these videos are a lot of fun, even though like they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. They're a good way to look at Konami's card design and look at deck building in general. Because like, being able to be critical of a deck is a good way to know which is the best one you can play or could be playing for X reason. Like, it's always good to just be critical of what you're looking at. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Dinner Flex will take your soul.